These are the top 5 things you absolutely need to know if you're thinking about relocating to the Manteca area. What's going on, everybody? It's Jason Valenzuela, your local real estate expert in the Northern Central Valley, and we're going to talk about the top 5 things you absolutely need to know if you're thinking about relocating to the Northern Central Valley and specifically the Manteca area. Quickly, before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, get that bell on so that you can continue to get updates about the real estate market here in the Northern Central Valley. And if you get anything out of this video, please hit that like button. It'll help people like you that are looking out here to get more information. It helps with the algorithm a ton. I really appreciate it. So let's get started. The top 5 things you absolutely need to know before you move to Manteca. Number 1, and we might as well get to it because it's the most important thing that I hear when I talk to folks who are moving out here specifically from the Bay Area, and that's traffic. And it's something that we all have to deal with. Like I said, most of the people that move to this area are moving from the Bay Area, and a lot of you guys are keeping your jobs out there, so you definitely have to keep traffic in mind because you're going to be spending a lot of time on your commute. Now, there's good news and there's bad news. I'll start with the good news, and that's that a lot of jobs have gone hybrid and or work from home, so it has taken quite a few cars off the road. And if you're one of those folks who does have a hybrid job, you only have to deal with that commute every so often. And if you're a full work from home, then you don't have to worry about it at all, and you can kind of skip to the next thing. But if you are one of those folks who's going to be commuting, it's important to keep that in mind when looking for the right neighborhood to live in. We do have several freeways around here, and depending on which one you need to use to get to your place of business, you'll want to be in a neighborhood that gives you the most direct access to that freeway. What I've found is that a lot of people don't consider the city traffic when they're thinking about their commute. They only think about the time that they're actually spending on the freeway, but we really need to think about that time from the freeway entrance to our doorstep and vice versa. Depending on your neighborhood and which freeway you need to use, that can be 5 minutes or it can be upwards of a half an hour, depending on what time of day it is. During peak commute times, the city streets can get pretty backed up, so that's something that you have to keep in mind. Now, there is plenty of access to different freeways and different freeway entrances, so whatever you're looking for, whatever direction you need to go as far as your commute is concerned, there is definitely a neighborhood for you and probably 2 or 3 that will work. Now, the bad news is that this area is growing and growing, and with more growth comes more people, with more people comes more cars, and with more cars comes more traffic. That's just the way things go, and we can expect that to continue to increase. Hopefully more and more jobs go hybrid and work from home, and it kind of mitigates that. But we're a growing city and a growing area overall, so traffic is just one of those things that's likely going to get worse over time. Hopefully not too much worse, but you definitely want to keep that in mind as far as commuting, because it does suck up a lot of your day, a lot of your week, a lot of your month, and a lot of your life. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about moving out here. The number 2 thing to keep in mind is one of my favorite reasons for settling here, and that's your proximity to everything that California has to offer. Manteca is very, very central to California, so that means you're not far from anything that you want to do. You're an hour and a half to 2 hours from the beach, about an hour and a half from Yosemite, 2 hours to Lake Tahoe, and there's everything in between. You're so close to so many lakes and rivers. My family likes to go camping a lot, so we have tons and tons of options in a small radius, less than an hour away. It's fantastic for us, but anything that you're trying to get to is not too far away. Aside from the Delta and a couple of lakes, nothing is particularly close, but you're never more than an hour away from pretty much any activity that you want to do. And speaking of outdoor activities, that leads us right into our number 3, and that is the park system here in Manteca. It is phenomenal. There are so many parks and so many different kinds of parks that whatever you're looking to do, whether that's join up with some people for pickleball or tennis, take your kids out to burn off some energy, take your dogs out to mingle with the other dogs, there's a park for literally everything. And the sheer number of parks is almost overwhelming. Manteca makes every single developer put in a park when they put in a new neighborhood, so the number of parks is just ever growing, and you wouldn't believe some of these parks. It's come a long way since I was a kid, and it was all wood, tan bark, and rusty metal. These parks are absolutely gorgeous, and there are so many cool new things for your kids to do. It's really, really impressive. One peculiar thing that you'll notice about just about every single park is that they have these large grass basins that are well below street level. And that's because the Central Valley is a valley. And being a valley, it is prone to flooding. So they put in these parks in just about every single neighborhood with these huge basins and storm drain runoffs. So instead of the streets flooding and the water coming up to your house level, the water all goes down into these basins, floods those areas, and they slowly drain over time. It's pretty interesting when we get super heavy rainfall and all these basins fill up, sometimes 4 or 5 feet deep. It's probably not suggested, but you do see people out there on kayaks and paddleboards and things like that. It's pretty interesting. But those basins are built to protect your homes, to protect the neighborhoods, and to make sure that nothing gets flooded that actually matters. So those parks are definitely a feature that all of us Mantecans love very, very much. But let's talk about a feature of Manteca that is not so great, and that is our number 4 thing that you must know, and that's trains. There is a set of train tracks that runs directly through the center of town at street level. So there are 2 things to keep in mind with regards to these trains. One is the noise level, and depending on which neighborhood you're in and obviously how close you are to the train tracks, it can be quite loud. I actually live quite close to the train tracks on the south side of Manteca, and to be honest, I've gotten pretty used to the low rumble, but the one thing that you kind of can't get used to is the fact that they are required by law to blow their horns or their whistles at every single intersection to warn cars and pedestrians that they're coming. For the most part, I've been able to tune this out. It took probably 6 months or so of getting used to it, but every now and then it does startle you. Some of the operators are a little more aggressive than others, so it's just something to keep in mind. And there are plenty of neighborhoods that are far enough away from the tracks that you don't really notice them at all, and they never bother you. However, the one thing that we cannot escape is the traffic that they can create. There is a track switch at both the north and south end of the tracks that run through the city, and that means that every now and then a train has to stop to let another train go by. Now, this doesn't happen constantly, but it does happen often enough that we need to talk about it. What this does is that the trains actually have to stop right in the middle of the city, and they can block 1, sometimes 2 intersections and create a lot of traffic. Most notably at the intersection of Woodward and Moffett, which is a main thoroughfare to get to Highway 99. So traffic on Moffett and Woodward can back up for quite a ways, and those trains can be stopped for quite a bit of time. Usually it's only 5 or 6 minutes, but it has been known to happen for about 20 minutes at a time. Now, the good news is there's almost always a way around the train. Pro tip, if you notice the traffic or the train, head for Highway 120. You can access most of Manteca from one of those exits getting around the train, and you can also access 99 north and south. But touching back on our first must know, traffic is created by these trains, so keep that in mind when you're choosing your neighborhood. You want to try to avoid having the train tracks between you and the freeway that you need to get to. Just in case something does happen and the train is stopped, you don't want to be stuck there for 20 or 30 minutes and end up late to work. But enough about the negative stuff. Let's go on to the number 5 thing that you must know, and it's one of my favorite things about Manteca, and that is the restaurant scene. It's severely, severely underrated for this area. Obviously, we live in the Central Valley in California, so there's fantastic Mexican restaurants just about everywhere throughout the city, but there is so much more. If you're craving Indian food, Asian food, sushi, fine dining, if you just want a burger and a beer, there are so many amazing restaurants that I'm going to need to make a video dedicated just to the restaurant scene here. It's absolutely fantastic, severely underrated, and one of my favorite things about the city. But what I will do is just quickly give you a few of my favorites. I personally love Mexican food, and my favorite is Las Cazuelas, but my wife would kill me if I didn't mention that El Jardín is also incredible. I also really love Indian food, so India for You is my recommendation there. A great sushi spot is Mihana Sushi. They are the sweetest people. The service is always incredible when I go there. I absolutely love that place. And then if you're looking for some amazing burgers and an incredible atmosphere, you gotta hit Slides on Yosemite. The food is out of this world. The burgers sound crazy, but try all of them because they're all absolutely amazing, and the vibes immaculate. So yeah, the restaurant scene out here is underrated in my opinion, and one of my favorite things about Manteca. And that wraps up the top 5 things that you need to know before relocating to Manteca. Thank you so much for watching. If you've watched this far, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, get that bell on. If you got anything that was useful out of this video, please hit that like button. It helps so much. And throw a comment down below what you might be trepidatious about or what you're looking forward to about moving to Manteca. It'll help me create more videos and more content addressing what's on all of your minds. So again, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Jason Valenzuela. You can reach me at any of my social channels, which are listed in the description below, or if you'd like a faster response, you can always call or text at 209-645-3645. We'll talk to you soon.